Clearly, we're going to have all kinds of technical issues today. I have had repeated issues since I tried to teach in the class, so that's great. Okay. Well, as Leah said in the kind of WhatsApp thread that, intimately art and war are linked, and they always have been. Not just propaganda posters, not just war posters, but abstract expressionism was actually born kind of out of the Cold War, and it was something that was developed originally as a way of shirking off kind of the ploys and money grubbing that traditional art brought into it. I would say currently in the world that we're living in, we're dealing with an overwhelm that is unprecedented. And art, and especially abstract art, allows us to have a little bit of a foundation, and it gives us an opportunity to calm our brain down, right? Because we haven't seen war pulled out in real time quite this way before because of technology. I had my, my TikTok got stuck on a live TikTok feed of the Russian or the Ukrainian ambassador asking the Russian ambassador to leave the Congress floor, and like stuck there. Like, this is TikTok. This isn't the news. You can't avoid it. So something that we haven't spent any time really working on, which is actually a really great component of abstract art, is repetition. So, some abstract artists' work is really incredible, and it's just the same thing repeated. It's almost a meditation hold on. We're gonna go through this again. It's a meditation, right? Here are some images. When you look up repetition in abstract art, you see all kinds of work in which, this teapot one, or the garden one here, gets me. It's so freaking cute. And some artists, I looked at this article, Artland, which is an article I kind of fell in love with, where they talk about artists whose work was entirely focused around the concept of repetition. Obviously, Klimt, whose work was really about the same patterns over and over again. We know M.C. Escher's work, intricate patterns redone. This is Annie Albers is interesting. I know there's a Portland artist who does similar work, who does it with tape, which is just crazy to me. This cutting of tape and removing tape to make these geometric designs. We know Warhol, obviously, excelled at using pop culture in a repetitive manner to make a statement. Keith Haring with his little characters, and obviously, Leah, do you know how to say, I know how to say Kusama's last name, but the first name, I never said it correctly.
I think that is Yayoi, but
Yayoi.
I'm not Yayoi.
Is it Japanese?
Yeah.
It is.
Yayoi.
Yayoi, thank you, not Yayoi. Yayoi.
Obviously, if you know Yayoi's work, it's 100% repetition. Entire rooms full of dots, the whole bit. Damon Hirsch and his circles here. Sarah Morris, the geometric separations and the repetition of triangles. And then Takashi Murakami is one of my favorites. Such happy work. So my thought was that what we would work on today is talk a little bit about repetition. We're going to work on some exercises focused around repetition. And I personally am going to work in blue and yellow today. Not only are they just delightful together, but I do think that it's important for us, even if we're using exercises to find a way to find some calm in this kind of world of overload, that we can also simultaneously, kind of deep dive into what, into hope and things like that. A couple of basic, repetition doesn't have to, hold on, I'm gonna do this. Repetition, it can be, for most people, they immediately think of circles. It doesn't have to be circles, obviously. Many shapes go well together. There's quite a few different ways to use repetition. There's the most basic way, right, which is like the Olympic logo, the same shape. I am so terrible at circles. You guys are going to learn all about how terrible I am at circles today. I cheat. I definitely use guides on circles always. So there's repetition where it's different colors for each shape. There's repetitions where it's just the same shape, the same color over and over and over again. There's some that are many repetitions and then one sticks out as its own color. I created a wallpaper when I was in art school that was the organic circle logo from organic produce, but it was in lines that were money symbols, repetition of the logo as money symbols, because at the time it's still kind of organic produce doesn't actually have any kind of special licensing, and it's just a ploy for more money. But so today my thought is that this is going to be a little bit more of a detail oriented project. This is more of a meditation, a way for us to come to our artwork and find something to calm our nerves a bit. So we're going to start on our first piece today. We're going to be choosing a shape or a symbol. Also, words are very commonly a subject or an item that you can use in repetition. We're going to start with basic exploration. My thought is that I'd like to kind of create 3 different versions of this. Choose your whatever, your symbol, your shape, your design. Repeat it one way, whether that's alternating colors, whether that's alternating size. And then we're going to do 3 different versions of that. One of the things that I'm going to work on my first one is that is the alternating colors, but also the alternating of hands. Going to do circles clearly because I've already started circles. And we're going to see what happens when I try to make the same shapes with my other hand. Again, this is the meditation of creation, less about, how good does this look? How interesting does this look? It's really just about what we can do to calm our nerves in an overstimulated situation. Wow, this is much harder. Look at my weird wonky little circle with my other hand. We're going to be able to clearly tell which rows I created this way. I encourage you to choose, 1 or 2 colors and to find some interest in it. I'm going to change materials on my next round. I think I'm going to explore multiple materials today and see how that comes out. Oh my gosh, this with my left hand. I'm a joke with my left hand. Anyway.
But sometimes the left hand is the best one to look at. It's kind of vulnerable and beautiful. The mark making gets kind of sweet and vulnerable.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, these studies aren't always about creating pieces that are entirely finished and beautiful. They're really about activating parts of your brain that explore new things. In this instance, when we talk about a world that is right now, it's a great place to leave it on the paper. Creating rules for yourself and exploring new rules is always a good exercise. Oh, I cheated and went with the wrong hand. Clearly, I just got done with using that other hand. Oh, my phone is really sassy today.
Well, it's interesting because although I'm working on a figurative piece, it's a beach with rocks on it, and there's a massive, repetitive element to it. So I'm totally doing what you guys are doing today.
Yeah,
switching hand and everything. And it helps.
A little bit on repetitive last week when we worked on kind of mark making. Sorry, hold on. My phone is really.
It's not having it today.
Not having it today. I mean, everything else is going wrong. Why not? Sorry, everybody. Nothing more exciting than staring at.
Getting to study your tattoos. It's
You have interesting, Ted. Yeah, I was just gonna say.
They're quite out there now, aren't they? Because of all of my branding involves them.
That's right.
Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. So the first exercise is just going to be basic. Give yourself a little bit of time. Try and alternate your marks. I'm doing them in rows. You can do half the paper with your left hand, half the paper with your right hand. You're not required, obviously, to work in any one color scheme. This is just the one that I've chosen. And please share on the WhatsApp thread.
I like the switching back and forth. Yes.
Thanks. Sorry, everybody. My studio mate is out with a bad back and her assistant was stopping in. I just wanted to check in with her. Oh man, I struggle with this left hand. I clearly need to do this more. Audrey always tries to, she wants to learn how to throw with her feet.
That's great.
Well, you know, because then if her hands go out, right?
She'll just be a little painful nub by the end of it all.
I was just like, what?
Girl, how about just taking a break? Like throwing your feet into the fire.
She's got monkey feet, so why not? Why not just do it? It's interesting because, you know, we see the Ukrainian colors everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how in New York they've got the restaurants all on the street?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've given up like a lane of traffic to outdoor spaces for restaurants. And
Yeah.
I drove by one yesterday that the entire outdoor part of the restaurant, so a whole storefront size, and then around the sides of it was wrapped in a giant, just blue and gold stripes.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I was like, how did they get that, like this huge piece of probably vinyl? It's not paper. How did they get that done so quickly?
Well, I mean, maybe they had, yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. You know,
There's a will right now. People are willing to give out for it.
I mean, I was so impressed. I was like, God, good for you.
Oregon had a really funny story where it's a live video of a bar owner or like brewery owner pouring out all of his Russian vodka.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen that. That's brilliant.
It's an interesting response. Like I'm always very interested in how people choose to respond to things. And
Yeah,
why.
I actually heard that sales of Grey Goose and Tito's were going up.
Well,
because everyone was like throwing out their
in
stolen.
In Oregon, liquor stores aren't allowed to sell Russian vodka right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
It's a weird mandate because the problem is that those small businesses, which liquor stores are small businesses, have already purchased the stock. It's not like,
Right.
So not allowing them to sell it then just means they have to sit on it. And that's weird.
Yeah, but if people are supporting them by coming in and then buying more of another kind, hopefully.
Well, and it's hard because my thing is like, also, it can't become a culture war. It's a dictator. It's a dictator trying to control a story, It's a dangerous line to go down. You can already tell where I screwed up one of my circles because I'm not very good. Honestly, repetition is a hard thing for me. I like emotional and intuitive mark making, and so I struggle with kind of the reliable and perfect ways in which repetitive artwork comes about. But my first little piece is done. You can see where I had to mix my colors because I definitely put the wrong one there because I'm a dork. Fine.
Well, it's not like you haven't had issues to
Right.
deal with, to be fair.
I have enough going on in my
I'm
life.
tempted to send you guys a picture of this, but I don't want you to, don't judge. It's like in a kind of a
I'm gonna judge.
crappy stage, no judging.
I'm gonna judge the heck
Don't
out of
judge.
I'm totally
I'm judging
judging.
you
I'm
so
totally judging.
hard. So I'm working on the sort of dark field in the lower part to try and get some, using these ideas.
Okay, now I'm gonna cheat. It's not cheating. I'm gonna work my circle,
Oh, yeah, I love it.
It's
but I'm
coming.
gonna use some tools to help me. And I'm gonna work on varying shapes instead of the repetition of the same shape. You know, what does it mean to use multiple shapes that are the same or similar? I'm using circles because it's what's readily available to me.
We have a student who is a Reuters employee, who is Ukrainian. She's in the Gdansk Bureau in Poland right now. But her parents live in Kiev and they have these two really adorable cats. And right now, Olga is like started a campaign with her cats. Just like, she has a cat saying really rude things about Russia, you know, rude things about the Russian invaders, but they're really cute. And she's sending it out to everyone.
Love it.
I know, she's great. Like,
Complicated situation right now.
so
Not that I don't want to sound at all like I am
no, yes. we get it.
yeah, I'm not suggesting that it's okay. I'm just, it becomes difficult when you have Americans and other countries who have Russians who don't agree with the decisions, and then their culture is being vilified. And in the
Right.
United States, that always leads to violence
Right.
and, you know, othering, which we just are so good at.
Yeah. Such a dumb thing to be good at.
I have really been inspired by some of the beautiful artwork coming out of it. Have you guys seen the women that are doing the campaign with the traditional Ukrainian crowns?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'll see if I can locate it. It's an Instagram, some Instagram women, and they're beautiful. They're made out of wood, and
I know the crowns. The crowns are gorgeous.
yeah,
Seen
so
those.
they're,
I didn't know they were doing a special. Well, it doesn't surprise me.
yeah. This is where meditative art really, I'm just not good at being consistent and nice. You know?
Is the goal to be consistent and nice?
I don't know that it is. It's to learn,
Yeah.
it's to explore new things. But I think with this kind of work, you find yourself kind of pulled in. There's a US women's national team soccer player who's really smartly kind of prepping her next career in art. See, I lost my camera again. This is just the day, everybody. I am so sorry.
Don't worry.
It's the temperature of it for some reason. Let me. Okay, let's try this round 450.
By the way, my destroyed fan brush is really coming in handy here.
Huh?
The one that's got all the cuts and stuff like that. It was
Oh.
awesome.
It's the way to go.
It's the way to go,
Really. Everything is hard today.
man. Yes.
How many times can I authorize to be recorded? A lot. Cool. Okay. Gosh, it's an exciting day here in technology land. Sorry, everyone.
We're not laughing at you. We're
I-
really laughing with
It
you.
is what
We're
it is.
laughing in recognition because
We're
we're
like, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting couple of months, I think.
Jesus. I'll take boring.
We haven't had boring in so long. I'm ready for
No.
it.
I'll
I
take-
really
give me
do.
boring.
Contemplate on like the trauma, physical trauma that's occurring, you know, one terrible thing to the next.
Well, it's interesting what an interesting period, a non-boring period will do for everything,
Yeah.
right? How it will just automatically make you long for quiet. It's like the difference between dating somebody at 20 and dating somebody at 50.
Oh,
At 50, the most important thing is they are kind. You don't care about anything else. You're like, this person just has to be nice. At 20, I don't remember ever thinking that. I was like, I mean, I wanted it, but I would have never verbalized it.
I was actually talking to a friend of mine about a similar thing, just about partnerships that are formed in conflict, you know, and partnerships that are not,
Right.
and just how different they are, you know,
Yeah.
just what we appreciate. And I was like, I just appreciate having a partnership that isn't just full of fighting.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, oh, I want the person I'm with to challenge me.
Well,
Challenge is one thing. Fighting is another.
yeah, challenge like discussion, yes, but anger fighting, that's different.
That's
I
a
don't
whole
know.
different thing.
I was just like, okay. She was like, I want to learn something. And I said, I never said I wasn't learning something.
Yeah, there's just a way one goes about it.
This is starting to remind me very much of Hilma F. Klint's work.
Love it.
Yep. I read a really interesting article recently where they had 10 current day artists' work is kind of falls along the same path.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting. It's such interesting work, you know, this idea of spiritualism. If
Uh-huh.
you're new to the class and you missed the Hilma F. Klint lesson, we talked about Hilma F. Klint is an artist who believed that she was channeling spirits. She was creating paintings that were her spirit's paintings. And then she sealed her entire body of work, her life's body of work after she died. She had her estate seal it for, I don't know, like 50 years or something.
So people were ready for it.
Yep, she didn't believe that it was a time era that people were ready for it. And I don't think she was wrong.
Yep.
Her work is very enchanting, very large, huge, massive pieces. And there's a point at which she had names for the different spiritual guides. There's a point at which she claims that the spiritual guides stopped visiting her and she's stopping painting with their guidance. And her work does look drastically different.
Right.
It's very strange. It reminds me of this thing that happened when I was in Madagascar. In Madagascar, they believe that spirits can occupy your body. And they have a name for it. And
Like
there's
shamanism, kind of.
kind of, but like normal just people will have different people that occupy their body. And they have different like holidays almost, or like ceremonies in which the spirits take over your body.
Oh, like they're invited.
Like they're invited. And it's interesting. I never went to one of the ceremonies, but am I freezing now? What is the deal? I think we're just going to have to go without like a
Yeah, it's
demo.
okay. Just show us as you're working along.
I'm sorry, guys. This
Don't
is,
worry.
it was interesting because there was a name for these spirits that occupied your body, and you had them for long periods of time. Like the same person would have the same spirit kind of identified to occupy their body. And they would have these ceremonies, and you would wear all white, and the spirits would take over, and you would have things there that the spirit loved, like flavored alcohol or food. And the claim was that if the spirit liked a certain alcohol, but you weren't drinking it, the spirit was drinking it. So once the spirit left your body, you were sober.
Did that work?
I mean, according to the people who had this happen to them,
So were the spirits like ancestors of the different people?
sometimes they were just spirits that just occupied the body, but they had names. They'd be like, I'm occupied by Henry, and Henry likes tequila and, you know, chili or whatever.
Right.
And they would have like events where these would take over, and I cannot remember the name of what they're called. I'm sorry, everybody. It's been, I don't know, 10 or 15 years since I went. It was very intense. It's interesting how culturally in Madagascar, it's almost voodoo-esque in some of the cultural belief systems. Yeah, it's a country that's either Christian or Muslim.
Well, that's like Santeria.
They just didn't get the memo from pagans.
Interesting because they're very respectful about it. So if you have what they call fadis, which are superstitions essentially, they're very respectful of fadis, which are these like superstitious rules that you follow. And culturally, like you don't, one of the fadis, for me, I was a vegetarian when I went. So that was my fadi. Not eating meat was my fadi. And it was like a spiritual thing. So it was respected if I went to a meal and didn't eat the meat. And it was questioned. The person that I was visiting who could speak Malagasy would tell them that was my fadi, and they totally accepted that.
That's what they got. That's how they understood it. Interesting.
And you would also have like cultural fadis that were specific to the area, like you wouldn't eat the lemur meat of lemurs that were indigenous to your area, but you might eat lemur meat of a different area. It wouldn't be unusual for you to eat lemur meat that was from a different area, which is
Weird.
interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I love the world.
Yeah.
I love how we're all trying to like make sense of it in these, metaphorical and
Right.
like how the story, it's stories.
Taking care of Will has been like a real exercise in kind of storytelling. He is such a storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
He's an old fisherman, you know.
Is he telling you a lot of, you're getting a lot of great stories?
Oh
from
yeah,
him?
we're getting every day. I'm always surprised. Like I know some of the stories, but some of this, I mean, it feels like it's new stories every day.
He's lived a long life. He has a lot to say.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's saying it.
me too.
And that must be going into those paintings you're doing.
Yeah. My circles are coming out very strange, but I'm kind of into it. That sucked. Yeah, my camera's just going out. It's just toasto.
It's okay. You
Man,
could just show us. That's just, I think, a message about the meditativeness of it.
oh
All
man,
those,
Stephanie's got some great new tools she's using, and it is fun.
what are you using, Stephanie?
It looks like she's got some stuff, maybe some stamps, some
Oh, fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Love it.
Jessica,
yes.
I have decided I'm going to use them today, no matter what the brief is.
I love it. I love seeing them all. I love the variation too. It's yeah. There are some artists whose entire work is just tiny little marks over and over again. It's very precise. I mean, Agnes Martin, come on.
Yeah, that's who I thought of
Yep.
immediately.
She's one of my favorites.
She's pretty amazing.
Another artist that believed in the spirituality of art, you know. She believed that inspiration was a tangible being and that you waited for it, which is very interesting. Some of my favorite portraits of her are kind of late in life when she was living really in poverty and just waiting for it. It's very interesting. Who even knows what this dumb phone's problem is? We're gonna let it have its moment. What you got working? What you working on, Jeannie?
I'll send
Yeah.
a picture.
Send it over.
I think it was a better idea than execution, but you know.
Oh, that's my whole life there.
Right.
Won't be the first time that's your truth. Won't be the last.
Yep.
I ended up accidentally making kind of weird bullseyes, which is a really disturbing statement in my work right now. Hey, it's well done. I don't think that I think it's a great idea and a good execution. I think you're kind of like me, who's just not very good at the perfect version.
Also, artists can be terrible judges of their own work.
Mhm.
What is working and what is different. Oh, Jean! Yeah, now get some blue in there.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let this one dry and work on another one for a while.
After this one, I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna do a different material, I think. Probably some water soluble oil pastels or maybe my weird metallics that are super weird. I ended up making weird little bullseyes. That's just creepy.
But kind of appropriate.
Not wrong.
Yep. I found the only thing I could do in the studio yesterday was work on this big morose painting. Like, I was like, I'm really anti the idea of big morose paintings. I generally prefer I don't know, just to do sort of peaceful, happy things, but I couldn't make myself do it. I just couldn't do anything but work on this big morose painting. Otherwise, I was just kind of flitting around. I couldn't settle in and work.
I think it's hard, and we're at a point where it's hard to just shut things off.
Right?
You know, it's you know, having COVID and being stuck at home with COVID, it is like you have the sickness, and depending on how sick you are, then you have this whole other experience of just, you know, isolation that's not the same as, you know, when we first began COVID and we were so scared of everything. We were super isolated, we were locked down. But isolation when you're sick and you could actually get somebody sick
Yeah.
is a completely different feeling and experience. And I think that you can't prepare yourself. There's no way to understand what the feelings are going to be like. And I think one of the things, especially with Americans, is, you know, you can intellectualize the idea of something like war on your own home soil, but it's not an experience we have any kind of real reference for what other people are going through,
Mhm.
what it means to be trying to run away and leave a country because you have to survive.
As I mentioned, my cousin and his just fled the country. He's American, just fled the country with his Ukrainian wife and newborn daughter. And his wife is wigging. She's
His
been with
what?
her his wife is wigging out. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, she's Ukraine, right? She'd almost rather
Just be there.
with her mom. You know, like she's like young, and she just had a baby.
Oh,
I know.
I saw an interesting story of two Americans that were in Ukraine adopting a child,
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of the experience of them. They were in the city that was getting bombed and having to get to the embassy to try and secure a visa before the embassy, everyone in the
Shut
embassy
down.
leaves. Yeah.
Right. That's what happened to Anastasia too. She actually had an interview to get all that set up, and then everything
Just
shut
fell
down.
down.
Yeah, everything shut down.
It's not. It's going to be difficult.
It is.
My weird bullseye painting. I'll let it dry so that I can do some next layers. And I brought myself
Oh, nice.
a ruler so that I can.
Well, now they look like boobs to me, Carissa.
Oh,
So.
Yeah,
much better.
I like that. Way better imagery.
yeah.
I think that would make a great bumper sticker.
Boobs are not bombs.
Boobs are better than bullseyes.
Boobs, not bombs.
thought that I prepped for myself, but clearly.
How are the dogs doing without Will stopping by?
We take one dog per day
Okay,
to see him.
they must be going wild with excitement.
It's a hard, weird thing for sure. More for Will than them.
Yeah, because it's too different for them, I'd imagine.
Also, one of the most basic repetitive patterns is obviously just using masking tape. I got this tiny masking tape that Audrey got for me while I had COVID. So I'm going to alternate it with my other masking tape to create lines. And I'm going to use other materials. I don't know why it took me so long to get to the concept of using masking tape with gold leaf adhesive to control it, but that was the discovery that happened over my COVID-ication.
Is that what you're calling it, your COVID occasion?
I mean, what else do you call it?
Oh, nice, Emma. Ooh, Stephanie. Wow, look at you two. These are great.
Okay. Let's see how this wildness comes out. Yeah, look at Emma reaching out and getting a different shape than everyone. Good job. Good choices, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I totally cheated this time. I laid out tape We're gonna see what happens. I've got two different types of tape. I'm sending a picture in a little grid.
Nice.
And then we're gonna see what happens when I then paint them and remove it. I'm all about, I'm kind of into it, Jeannie. You're just wild and crazy and going for it. That's what it's about.
A little too cute. Now it's not too cute.
I'm into it.
But
It's a
it's kind of got this Phoenix Rising kind of thing, this bird kind of coming out of it that I like.
You know, I've been impressed with the kind of solidified nature of Ukraine during this all.
Mhm.
I don't think Americans would react quite the same. I think there'd be too much infighting about whether or not we should be defending our country. I can say also that blue and gold are my high school color.
Ooh. Wow, Jean.
Just getting at it. The nice part is, you know, they're colors that are the same temperature, so
That's right.
you're not gonna have lots of those issues. Kind of nice to do nonsensical stuff. Oh man, the beast rises. Okay, now the best part. Always one of the paints. It's just the bad kid that wants to do everything it's not supposed to.
The bad kid.
It's always
Yep.
a problem child, always.
Yeah, one of them's got like a weird consistency that is not enjoyable, you know. This is strangely satisfying though. I could see why people would do entire bodies of works like this.
Right, because you could never end in the idea.
You know, actually, we had
Exploration of the idea.
someone come into the gallery and we were talking about one of the paintings I have up right now, and it, you know, like the work that I did during COVID was obviously about having COVID, and we were kind of talking about that, and she was like, does all of your work have like meaning? And I was like, lots of it has symbol and meaning in it. Like,
Yeah, you don't paint what you don't, you paint what you feel. That's absolutely true.
the documentation,
Yeah.
you know, this one is, even this, like what we're doing here, even though it's, you know, about something else, it's a documentation.
I would say the emotion kind of runs. I mean, it's obviously at some length in everybody's work, how you feel, but
Mhm.
there are others where it's kind of there are some artists, and I'd say you're among them, where it's the dominant,
Yeah,
one of the dominant elements. And I think that's an important thing to observe. Like this is an emotional, you know, you're not going to paint what you don't feel. You're not going to hide it. It's just going to come out.
look at this.
Oh, that
Look
looks
at
awesome.
That's really fun. There's some imperfections clearly, but I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna probably layer another thing on it. Yeah, Jeannie, getting it. Maybe we'll see what happens. Ha, ha, ha. Let's bring out the bullseyes and see what we can do.
I think I accidentally made a like messed up American flag with like fetuses in it.
You know, I speaking of
Accidentally.
It was a total accident. I swear.
was
Let's
it?
see. Whoa, check it out. Oh my God, Jasper Johns, move over. No, was it Jasper Johns? Who did the great American flag?
Yeah, it's Jasper
It was
John.
Jasper Johns.
Yeah.
That during my blue series, one of the pieces that I created looked disturbingly like an American flag.
Sometimes there's just like repetitive splotches and then like something gets stripy and then you're fucked.
Yep, that's it.
Well, and like when you think about it culturally, you know, we've been programmed to see it and to do it, you know? It's on everything.
Yeah.
Mine is slowly.
I'm going in.
sinking.
This little weird roll of tape that I have is so tiny because it's thin lines that it's like flat and it gets lost in the weirdest places. And I'm always like looking for it. And then I'm like, oh.
Inkling is not allowing me to work right now.
Why?
The
Well-
clingy one.
He will not get off my lap. I keep trying to push him off and he digs his claws in.
He knows what you need.
Yeah.
No, he knows what he needs.
Cats are like that, aren't they not?
Yes, indeed. Muka's sitting right by the computer here.
But Julie's definitely trying to make me feel bad.
For
That I
not
haven't
paying more
fed her
attention to
yet.
her.
Yeah, that I haven't fed her yet, but I'm ignoring her in her sadness. It doesn't help that I
I
have a
know
dog.
Patchouli does not starve.
She does not starve. She just has a sad face, so she gets away with making you feel like junk.
Patchouli, stop that. Leave your mommy alone.
But last week, since I wasn't feeling well, I was working from home all week. And now yesterday and today I've been at the office all day. So he's like, I must have your attention. Hadn't had you all day.
Yeah.
I've been a good kitty. What have I done to deserve this?
I don't really like commercials, but one of the commercials that I do enjoy is the DoorDash commercial where the guy's sending dog treats to his dog things to his dog all day long. DoorDash.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it is so funny. I can't believe you haven't seen it. I've seen it like 5,000 times. So that means one of the streaming services I use uses it. But it's like he's like looking at a picture of his dog at work and then he pulls out his phone and like DoorDashes him some toys.
Oh,
He DoorDashes him like treats. And then the last DoorDash, he buys, apparently there's doggy beer. You see him choosing doggy beer, and then he DoorDashes him, and the dog goes to the door because it knows doorbell sound, and then it's him at the doorbell with the 6-pack of beer.
Oh.
his best friend.
It's quite an entertaining commercial. Can't say I wouldn't DoorDash my
Oh,
dog.
yeah, you totally would.
I was smart enough to answer the door and not eat somebody.
You guys doing your grand opening tomorrow for the coffee shop?
We're just opening, it's just when we start
Regular.
regular service, not really like grand, but
I
yeah.
guess grand was last week.
Our
baby
kind of
grand.
big celebration, was the soft preview, you know,
Yeah.
the preview and then, and we, you know, we didn't really tell a lot of people last week because that way we can kind of slowly start.
Yeah.
So I've added a second layer. My weird tapes. The blue and yellow is really suiting you, Jeannie.
It is.
Oh, I like that your house is, your little beach house is getting some details.
Yes, getting there. This is a really big painting. It's gonna take forever. But,
Not as big as the one that was in that person's house, right?
oh Jesus, yes. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I feel like Emma's painting is going to suck us in. Like we're just gonna fall into the swirly circle.
Yep. America. That's what you get to call it, Emma. Emma, American.
Just America.
American, just American.
Yeah, I love it.
We will definitely be doing we'll be doing sunflowers in most of the classes this week. So not as like deep as this wonderful class, but we'll definitely be working with Ukrainian symbolism.
Why sunflowers?
That is a Ukrainian
It's
kind
yeah.
of national symbol.
Didn't you hear about the old woman who was yelling at the Russian soldiers
Oh yeah.
and telling them to get out? And then she was like, here, take these sunflower seeds and put them in your pocket.
And then when you
Because-
die, sunflowers
Because when you
will
die,
grow.
at least flowers will grow. Yeah. It was
That's an intense statement.
very
Yeah,
intense.
it was insane, and it did happen. It
But
was definitely
yeah, it's on
not
video.
legend. Yeah.
But it's like,
So now the
but
sort
what a
of
great way to communicate. Like the Russian soldiers were like, you know, because it made them, I'm sure it made them think.
did you see
Well,
they're
they're-
paying Russian soldiers to desert the Ukrainians?
Yeah,
They're, like,
yeah.
paying them to just like quit, full amnesty if they just walk away.
Right. And some of them are doing it.
Yeah, I think if you don't have family in Russia, you might consider
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think if you do have family, but I think that's kind of brilliant because it removes the us and them.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Well, a lot of them have cousins. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean, there's such a cultural,
yeah. And it's
mix
like, if,
there.
you know, if we like decided to go take over Toronto, you know, it'd be like, a lot of us have relatives there, or know people there, you know.
Yeah. It's really.
And it's a very similar culture, even if it's different, you know.
right, right. Well, yeah, they all borrow, I mean, yes, it's very heavily influencing each other. Oh, baby. Oh, look at you, cute pie. Look at you. Yeah, you're the cutest. You are.
I know I am. Thank you for telling me, Leah.
I think that every day, Carissa. You are true. But also, come on, look at this. She's just laying there right next to the computer. Ooh, Carissa. I think you've come up with a new logo for somebody's business. That's fucking awesome.
Is that Mooka?
That's Muga.
Being Mooka-y.
Being cute. She's going in for surgery tomorrow morning, get her teeth out.
Oh,
I know. And she's like 14 anyway. I'm not gonna worry about it. I know she's in good hands.
oh yeah.
Doesn't change that it's stressful.
Yeah. And be like, I got no teeth.
That wouldn't stop my cats from eating.
Right.
My dog is definitely just plopped off the couch to let me know that it's food time.
What is it? Or is it, does she just think it's food time?
She'll take food time at any time she can get. She's super deceitful. She tries to convince you like that you didn't feed her earlier.
Oh, my cats do that all the time. But we haven't eaten in weeks and weeks, Mom.
Mm-hmm. Oops. I was definitely the kid that never could color in the lines, and I still am the kid that can't color in the lines.
That's what we like about you. Don't worry.
Right?
Just to let you guys know, for anybody who might be taking Marie's classes on Sunday, pastel landscape class, this is the last month that she'll be teaching.
Mhm.
After that, but the good news, which is sad, I know, but I'm gonna get her back. Don't you worry. She just needs a break. But the great news is that I have a series of mini courses scheduled on Sunday. The first one's going to be learning how to draw and paint with Procreate.
Right.
That starts in April.
Who's teaching that?
My 19-year-old former student is in our school right now, Emma, who of course has figured it out totally quickly and gave me I'm like, show me your syllabus, and she gave me like the most concrete, fantastic syllabus about how to do it,
Procreate's super intuitive. It's a great program.
Yeah, so I thought she would be a great one. So she'll be talking about that, how to draw a landscape the first week, how to draw an interior. And she's really focusing on using all the different tools. So she's got like 10 different tools each time.
Good.
Yeah, it's going to be a good class. What the fuck? And the next one will be, the one in May will be drawing and printmaking at home with my old teacher, Lotto Pochkla. So many of you have ever heard any stories about Lotto. I get to experience him for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yay.
I have a caricature artist who's going to be teaching how to do face caricatures for 3 weeks. It'll be a bunch of really neat classes that we wouldn't otherwise have room or time to do. So take a look out.
The Procreate class will be fun.
I think it'll be great. Emma has actually already done a fair amount of painting teaching as a substitute for me, so she'll do pretty well.
The worst paint. This does not look good at all.
Ha!
It's gonna take like 12 layers to make it look decent. I'm gonna feed my dog real quick. I'll be right back.
What else has everybody been up to? It's been a couple weeks since I've seen you all. Stephanie, Emma, tell us what's the hats?
Oh, not much, just lots of work.
Yeah,
I work shift sometimes, so I can't make the class.
right. That's why we got the videos. We figured as much. The nature of the game.
I'm gonna just spend 12 and a half hours on this painting to make this paint look decent.
Tell me about it.
A weird thing about texture, which is interesting as an abstract painter, I don't really like my paint to have a lot of texture. And I struggle with the paint that like shows the brush mark too much.
Yeah.
That's like, though, like this is where I like kind of this repetitive nature of some of this is like, you get to focus on some of those things like that, you know? It's really interesting to me the way that some of the mindsets that make up artists and like things that people do who are artists. We, in opening this coffee shop, obviously, we had to learn how to make coffee. Audrey had previously ran one. She worked at one while she was in college, but I have never been a barista. But so we did this training and, you know, learned how to make all the different drinks. I love coffee. It's not that I don't love coffee, but I've never been formally trained. Working through it and like, there's a mentality about even like the detail oriented nature of something where you're like, you're used to paying attention to the technical aspects of the materials that you're working with and knowing what they can do and what they can't do. And it's interesting how it transfers to making coffee and like
Totally.
learning the technical aspects of milk, you know,
Mhm.
and how to make milk do what you want it to do. And we were talking about like latte art. Latte art is always an indication that the barista really knows how to properly treat their milk. So now it's just a whole nother like thing for Audrey and I to obsess over. As you know, two people who obsessed over the technical aspects of their work.
By the way, what was the latte that you were advertising the other day? Golden?
The golden milk, it's an interesting golden, it's not like a golden milk latte, which is coconut milk and turmeric.
Okay.
And then you can do it, so it's called golden milk, and then you can do it with dirty, which makes it a latte.
Right.
Ours is a special mix from our tea purveyor, and it's a golden milk cocoa. You make dirty, and you make it with a shot of espresso in it. So it's got turmeric and coconut and dark cocoa, like dark cacao,
Oh,
and some
God, that sounds
pepper,
incredible.
cardamom. Yeah,
Jesus.
it's a beautiful mix. We are very lucky to have a very, very good tea purveyor, local tea purveyor that we work with. And they have some great tea. And their golden milk cocoa is amazing. That's another thing. I'm excited to learn how to make simple syrups so that we can,
My
Have
God, you're right. It's a
housing.
whole other obsession.
I know,
Making beautiful coffee drinks.
it really is. It falls just, I'm telling you, this is that thing that falls kind of into the same category as
It's art.
art, is that you want to master the technical aspects so that you can then push it.
My cousin, who is a chef, was pointing out that there's a real perfectionism, a visual perfectionism when you're plating the same thing over and over and over again, right? You're cooking it, then you're plating it. There's a super visual element to it. I took him to a painting class once and he became very obsessive and kind of bossy and grumpy the way a chef would, you know, it's like doing his, he slipped exactly into chef persona for his abstract paintings, which he was making.
It's I wrote an entire paper when I was in art school on why food is art. You know, and it's an interesting when you consider, you know, we're working with art on a 2D surface right now. So we're working on visual aspects and there is some sensory aspects in texture and some of that stuff. But like, and then when you hit 3D artwork, there's a lot more sensory aspects that come into play. And it's almost like food is like 5D because then you're bringing in smell
And
and you're-
taste, right?
right. And this whole other aspect of work. One of the things that, you know, we feel like, obviously, one of the things that we do well in our business is what I would call appropriate growth, not just overdoing it, making sure that finances are coming through and that we're moving through properly. So we have to wait for Audrey to get her surgery and then we're going to introduce kind of fancy toast because I feel like it's a flat sandwich, but I feel like we can do some visually exciting things and like taste and smell that fit the space well, and the experience of having an upscale cup of coffee in an art gallery as compared to like a dirty neighborhood coffee shop, you know?
Well, I feel like in a weird way, coffee and art are kind of intrinsically related that way. I think you just put your word, I've always thought that, and I think you just put into words why that's true.
I mean, how much artwork is made in coffee shops? So
Right.
much.
Right. How much is like, if you can, and if you think about it, coffee is a luxury item. I mean,
Yep.
If you can afford to pay $2 or $3 or $4 for a cup of coffee, you can, you can afford to buy a piece of art.
Right.
Now it is an item that is like,
Well, and this is part of an experience. Buying,
it's
I mean, like,
beauty.
buying art is an experience. Oh man, Jeannie, you really went dark, huh?
Yeah. I fucking love this one. It's like blood.
Yeah,
Good.
Oh,
I'm doing it to another one too.
Do it. Fucking do it. Oh, we lost Emma. She had to go to a meeting.
sucks for Emma.
Yeah.
Kind of late.
It's a little late there, although not that late.
I don't do well late. I'm not a late person. I don't like things at night. I like to just do my thing.
I'm so
Where-
with you there.
My partner excels at doing things late at night. It's her jam. She cannot for the life of her wake up for the coffee shop.
That could be a problem.
She's
Not
gonna
really.
take the closing shift.
Gonna take- Again, another thing about like knowing skills. She's a much better cleaner, more detail oriented closer. Like it's gonna be a better fit.
Yeah.
I worked at this restaurant once where there was a one customer, he was really, really picky. And he would only order the espresso if he knew that Jean had cleaned the machine the night before.
Interesting.
He said he could tell the difference in the taste because no one else did as good a job of cleaning as I did.
Yeah, Audrey's really good at cleaning. We're also one of the things that makes our coffee exceptional
Mhm.
is that it's roasted weekly.
Right.
Oh, right.
So
Such a difference, such a difference.
we get it on Thursday and it's been roasted on Tuesday. Spends all day roasting.
Oh
So
my God, yum, yum.
the freshness of it is real and you can taste that. We
Oh, yeah.
of course, to make everything super stressful, we work with a really good local roaster, and they had several members of their staff come in and do things like want to taste the espresso, wanting to know if our shots are up to par.
Oh, wow.
And luckily, they loved it.
Phew. I love it. The supplier's making sure you're up to their grade.
Yeah. Well, they're really common. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
You got two of them with blood.
Yeah.
Bring it, Jean. Bring it on. It feels good, doesn't it?
Well, it feels honest.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Jean, the
Uh-huh.
Russian flag is a
what?
tricolor flag consisting of 3 horizontal fields, white, blue, and red.
Yeah.
Interesting. It doesn't feel like it's just about Russia to me.
No.
Like it's not just about the Ukraine. It's bigger than that.
It's about letting a crazy, yeah. It's about a crazy man, like the crazy. It's like what a bully can do.
He's narcissistic.
Yeah. It tells a lot about who's in power.
You know?
Exactly.
Not just
there.
Not just there. You know,
Yeah.
truthfully, he's just doing what Trump wanted to do. Ooh, Gene, yum.
Yeah.
I like angry Gene.
You can't see it on this one, but there are a couple of little teeny drops of the red that splattered onto this one,
Good.
which you can't see because it's too tiny. But on my photograph of it, but I like that there's just like
Little bits of blood there.
tiny bits of blood on it.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. All the prayers, like, when do people stop thinking that is like gonna change something?
Yeah. Although apparently, as I've been reading, the economic stuff is doing more than I thought it would. A lot more. Like Russia's pretty
We have
much
money for
crumbling.
war. The problem is, not to be this guy, but we know whether or not the United States is still backdooring weapons of mass destruction to Russia,
Right.
because we tend to do that kind of shit.
Well, I'm sure if we're doing it right now, we've hidden it very carefully.
I saw a really interesting comic. Of course, comics are so subversive. And it was based off of Lord of the Rings. And it was like they put not Bilbo, his cousin. Damn it.
Sam?
Frodo.
Frodo.
As Ukraine. And then it was like the human that becomes king was like America, had a little American flag. I give you my sword. And I think it was Australia, England, and America were each of the different kind of characters. One was a wizard, one was a dwarf, and then you see them standing back and like Ukraine, like Bilbo's like pressing on. And I
Yeah,
was like, what an interesting cultural conversation of like, we're behind you, but we're not doing anything. You know, we've got
Right.
your back from over here. And I think it was probably a commentary previous to maybe whatever successes about the financial sanctions.
Yeah.
What you doing,
Yeah.
dog?
Here, I just added a little bit of blood to this one too.
Nice. Do it, Jane. Do it. Blood everywhere. Blood it
No,
up.
this one's subtle. It's just a few drops.
I like it. Well, I do see the war. I do see that the International Court is already starting proceedings.
Yep. The Hague.
The Hague.
What does that mean? What does it do? And
It means he could go to jail. It means he could be arrested. Putin could be
For
arrested.
war
and thrown in
crimes.
jails for genocide. And normally it takes them a long time to get that shit together. So they have speeded up the process quite a bit. I mean, Milosevic rotted in jail. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Watch that damn fucker, like, you know, like, so, and Pinochet, didn't Pinochet also?
I think so.
In the Hague as well. So,
You know, it's something that's really interesting to think about is you think about like Russian culture and like previously being part of being the Soviet Union and now being Russia, and like, will the world ever get to know Russian culture separate of like
Soviet culture.
yeah.
separate of these like world domination mindsets of people in power?
You know what I think is interesting? I think people already kind of do. I mean, I think if you like, what is interestingly kind of unifying for all these, like if you go to I used to go to conferences, you know, with journalists from all over the freed states of the former Soviet Union. And they all had very, you know, strong views of nationalistic views about what, you know, what their country needed and about we are not Russia. But, you know, at the end of the day, they all got together and drank vodka and sang Russian folk songs together. That's like what they did, you know, that's like what they, and, you know, with Ukraine, it's especially prevalent, right? Because there is some cultural borrowing. That's why it's so fucking sad. Because there is so much of the culture that is in Ukraine as well as Russia, and Russia in Ukraine, and Ukraine in Russia, you know, like that is very, I guess that's why it's so.
It's like they're trying to kill their little sister.
Yeah. But also, right. Yeah. It's also like kind of sticks in Russia's craw that like, they're so, you know, Ukrainians are so like them. They are so like you, you know, anyway, like Ukraine, it's like,
why don't they just want to come and play at our party?
because your parties suck. Except for the drinking vodka and singing Russian folk songs. That's very fun actually.
But apparently Putin really thought that everyone in Ukraine was going to be like, oh goody, okay, yeah, okay.
I don't think he thought that, because I think that's been his frustration with Ukraine, right? That it wouldn't.
Well, it is now, but he thought it would be a lot easier.
Oh, I think he thought it would be easier because they're such a tiny country. I think he underestimated the connections that the president has.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has underestimated the strength. He forgot how terrified Americans are of a Cold War, you know, like in nuclear weapons. Like, I think there's a lot of things he wasn't, I think he thought he could kind of bully his way through that are just not going. I mean, you know, there's too many people who it will cost too much. There were too many costs. But of course, it also stuck in his craw, Ukraine.
Yeah,
because he was like, Ukraine is being taken away from me. That is ours. Ukraine is ours. This is where we go on vacation. The Crimea. This is where we, blah blah blah. That, you know, like this is like where all our stories and our epic, history and our literature is all based, is all from here. So yeah, it's not really rational.
No. Well, they say he's really losing it, but
Did he ever really have it? It's like the question.
That's characteristic behavior of a narcissistic human.
Right.
Mhm.
Hitler did it. I think Trump did it.
Trump did it for
firsthand.
sure.
Is anybody in this group part of the From My Window Facebook group that popped up during the pandemic?
Oh yeah,
It's a Facebook
Yeah,
group
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all over the world.
there's been a lot of activity on that.
Because they're focusing on Ukrainian views.
Mhm.
So they're pictures of people's like really where they live.
In real time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been interesting to see. That probably has also helped people feel very connected.
Yes. I feel like, again, that's the social media thing. We have yet to go through war where we have access the same.
Yeah.
It's easy to motivate a world that can see it,
Right.
you know? Yeah, and apparently, like, they've now been kicked out of the next 2 Olympics. Russia has.
Oh, yeah.
They're not allowed to compete. Like, all kinds of weird stuff.
I noticed even the Turkish president was like, yeah, the Russians aren't really acting like good diplomats. Turkey had been kind of holding back on fully.
Going after the Russians.
Yeah, they were kind of like, we're not going to get, we just think that that's a blame game. But China, of course, is saying something similar. That tells you about those countries. And now even Turkey's like, yep, nope, that's just not working.
It's just too public.
Yep. Ooh, Carista. God, I freaking love these. These are gorgeous. Stephanie, what you got going on? Send us something. We haven't seen you in a while. Krista, did we get Hillary?
Hmm?
Did we get Hillary Piper?
Oh, interestingly, I don't remember seeing her application. Let me look. Hmm.
Maybe not.
Nope.
She might be feeling she's outgrowing it.
Maybe she has other things to do during that time. It's a really, time for people.
Yeah. Interesting. And no Scott Connery, I take it.
Yeah, no Hillary.
No Hillary.
She's probably got something really good going on because she stayed through it during the hardest times.
Yeah.
Completely devoted. So.
Well, she's building quite a business up. She might be too busy. The bunny with the tool belt might be too busy.
Mhm.
It's funny though, she's always very wildly popular.
Well, people like what you can create.
Yeah.
Christy, I love your skinny lines.
I know, right?
Fantastic.
Coming together nicely. And I've got a slew of yellow and blue tape paper. That is my secondary sculpture. What am I looking for? My own
Ha! Look at that. That's fantastic. That's the best instant. That's the best installation of all, Krista. Just leave it like that. Don't move it.
Yes, Christia, that's beautiful.
what can I say? Art is everywhere.
Art is everywhere. Art is everything.
Well, Inkling really is not going to let me do anything else. So
Is he just in your, let's see him.
he just,
Oh, he's like right there.
he is like, he stands on my lap. So if I try to get rid of him, he just digs his claws in. You should see
I
my
can
poor
see
guy.
this little. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, hi, baby.
Got it. That's all.
What a sweetheart.
I have to let mine dry before I can continue working on it. So it's probably done for now.
How's everybody else doing? I know we still got about 10 minutes left, but if we're all kind of tapped out.
I think it's heavy.
Yeah. Thank you, Krista. That was really valuable.
Yeah.
And thanks for bringing the historical context to it. That was really important.
Yep. I hope that we'll see everybody next week. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I will get it figured out soon. send photos of your completed pieces as you finish, but I think that we're gonna end for the night and
please.
have a little bit of relaxation.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Bye, everyone.